Welcome to the Time Dojo. I'm going to give you a short lesson on rituals or your do now checklist or your, I don't know if you have a planner of some sort and how you start the day. So you might have a morning ritual. You might have an afternoon ritual, a night ritual. This all depends on your brain, basically. Your brain. So I'm defining what a time surf is. Time surfing or time surf. In my language, in my transformational vocabulary, it's how do you spend your time? You know, if you're doing it hour by hour, how are you planning your life? I really do like Anthony Robbins' rapid planning management system, and his system might be different from, is completely different from mine. I did grow up, I read a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey in my I think early 20s. I think I was 20 or 21 when I first saw that book. I read that book. It was so long ago. I know he has 7 specific habits. Like habit 1 is be proactive, and he has 7 habits, and like one of them would be begin with the end in mind. You know, that management guru, that leadership guru, his name was Stephen Covey. And I remember because I think they merged with a time management system or a time management company, and then you could actually plan out your habits or plan out your time. And that's been some time since I used that. I remember having a planner and looking how I would go, you know, if I got up for my computer job, because that's how I started back in the day. You know, I just finished Michigan State University and with my bachelor's of science, and I was going by a strict time. You know, everybody's raised to get up at like 6, and I think at my bus stop, the bus would stop there at like 7:15, and then I would be in my high school, and class would start, I believe, probably at 8. But you'd be in your homeroom around 7:35 or 7:45 in your homeroom. Then they did the announcements. So that first hour, depending on what school you went to, I think we had 7 hours. So I had 7 different classes. Of course, we'd have lunch as the break in the middle of the day. And then when you work you're in the dog eat dog world today, the working world, as a 22 or 21-year-old, just got your bachelor's from your college, you have your rituals. So, you know, of course, I'm up, I got my shower, 5-10 minute shower, because I got up early at like 6. Then you brushed your teeth, then you had your breakfast with your mom and dad, real fast breakfast. You know, your mom or dad made you your breakfast, or your nanny or your babysitter, whoever's your caregiver. You got up early, you dressed properly. In our ritual, we and my brother, we would stand at the bus stop before the bus would go by, and you'd see that bus, and it would really, really suck if you missed your bus, because then you had to go back in your house and get a ride from your mom or dad. I'm one of the lucky people. I knew how to build bonded relationships with people. Shout out to my buddy Tom Germati out there if you happen to watch this. So my buddy Tom, I think my senior year, he would come over religiously and pick me up like early. You know, he'd be at my house about 7, and then we were at school before everybody. We would be one of the first people at school, because he had a nice convertible, brand new convertible and we would time surf in that span of time to the school, because we were in the moment. When you're young, back in the day, you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you're present to your life, and you're like, I did my homework, I got up early, and I got this ritual going. So we're talking about a ritual, and I call it time surfing. So it could be a big event. It could be as small as going to school, or a smaller event. You have to take a test that day in statistics, math, calculus, chemistry, a tinier event, and you had to be there early. So time surfing could be in the morning. I'm listening to a program, and then I'm looking at my vision board. I've got vision boards, so you can go to www.nelsonsbeltran.com and download that vision board making process. I have an ebook all about vision boards, and hit me up here, you can get one. And of course, there's other people out there. I remember they had Creative Visualization by Shakti, Gawain, where she was talking about creative visualization and vision boards. I remember it was long ago. So this time surfing. If you're going out time surfing, your car or your airplane is your surfboard, or your rollerblades, or the use of your time. How do you make use of that hour? What are you going to do in that hour? Are you going to pray? Are you going to Bible study? Are you practicing your neuro-linguistic programming? Are you practicing your neuro-associative conditioning? Are you doing your Isha Kriya meditation after you're doing your afternoon ritual? So you have an afternoon time surf. You had your lunch. Now you're writing every day for your book, screenplay, or your sculpting, or your painting. So how are you spending that time? I call it a time surf. So you go from point A to point B, and that gap in between is the surf. I'm looking at my do now list. I'm remembering all the things I did. Check the condition of my car or my truck. Is the oil, is it full of oil? Is there enough oil? So you might have a ritual of maintenance for your car or truck. So we're talking about maintaining your time. And maybe a journal. Are you tracking your time? Do you have a time journal? That might be something you might want to invest in. As writers, we have journals. We have diaries. We have, some people have those customized planners, and you're writing in a dot, and then you're writing what you did for that day, that you bought at Barnes & Nobles or off of Amazon. You bought a journal, so the whole day you're writing down what you did. So it is a diary of a sort. It could be a tracking journal. Accountants, they have to track every financial transaction. They're looking at the debit, they're looking at the credit column. So that is a mechanism for tracking their finances. Of course, today you have Excel spreadsheets, and you've got software that will track your money, where your money goes. You have a debit and credit. So in a way, time surfing, if you audit, if you write down and you keep track, and you want to be motivated, you'd have this do now list of rituals, of morning rituals or afternoon rituals. If you're doing like the Tony Robbins personal power system, for example, you have morning power questions. You might have questions that might trigger you to have your do now or a checklist. Back in the day, they called it a to-do list. So today I have a do now list, and I have a list of things I want to do now. And then when I'm doing them, I'm time surfing. So you got your breakfast, you might be in graduate school for 4 hours, then you'll be on a Zoom on a Monday night from 6 to 8, and you've got a community psychology course, you got an economics course, you got a financial course at Kaplan Financial, one of the other schools I went to. when I was studying for my life health and annuities licenses back in the day. It was like 2006. A lot of my time at that, I had an accountability partner. Maybe some of you don't have an accountability partner. Maybe you want to think about having an accountability partner, and they'll hold you to your space, to that space of time, and you want to go from point A to point B. It's actually, for a lot of people, the execution part. Covey called it being proactive. Being proactive, So he has those 7 habits. So you might have a few habits in place, and then you might have a black hole of time. You might be sucked into a video game, or you might be sucked into a TV show, or you're sucked into a movie series, or you're at a party, someone's party, you got sucked into a party, a costume party, especially this month. This is Halloween. And you never got any of your remote, maybe some of you have a remote business and you're at home and your kids are there, and boom, you're making their lunch, you're making their dinner, and boom, you've lost that ground of doing what you had to do for that task for the day. So it's better to go time surfing. I like it. I like the word time surfing. I don't like the word time management. I think a lot of people have a negative anchor for time management. So here, if you're planning a big time surf to like a film festival, or your marriage, or impending marriage, or impending divorce, or impending deposit, and you went out and bought a home, you bought an exotic car, you bought a truck, you bought something, some land somewhere, and you're like, oh no, and you didn't have an intention behind it, maybe that was just time management. You just showed up because you had to show up. I think it's more powerful if I said time surfing. And people get all geeked up because, people go surfing in California. They go surfing on the big waves. So you're catching a wave. So here, time surfing is, it could be a peak experience. You have self-actualization hit, and you're like really a Japanese Satori. And you're really in the moment, enjoying your event. And that's what I define as a time surf. Until our next episode, hey, mabuhay, God bless, and I look forward. Please give it a big like down in that corner, and give it a big like down in that corner. I think it's that corner or that corner. Do a big like and subscribe. Time surf. This is Nelson Santiago Beltran, your coach at the Time Dojo.